the organism, and in particular the brain.
Yeah.
And well, there's a very odd thing happening, because the brain
Yeah.
creates what is called a model of the self in relationship to the world. So the brain creates a virtual world in which there's a me, there's a world. And the brain feels that there's a me that is making the decisions. And for some people, they can also point out that there would be a little me somewhere in the skull. It feels that there's a little Patrick or Roland or whatever somewhere in here.
Yeah.
But when you open the skull, you only see neurons. You only see a lot of brain mass.
Yeah.
So the brain creates that model of the me in relationship to the world, and that's a helpful model to make decisions. But the decisions are made in the brain, and in essence, decision making is just physical processes. It's electrochemical reactions that are working in the brain, that creating the brain activity.
Yeah. Is that what we call ego? That mechanism? Is that?
Yes, the ego is the me part of the model that the brain creates of the me in relationship to the world.
Yeah. And is this helpful for us?
Yes, of course.
We need it.
Yes, of course we need it, because if we would not need it, it would not have been created, because evolution, everything that evolution is doing is useful.
So all those teachers who tell me I have to get rid of my ego, you say bullshit. No, ego cannot.
Well, first of all, I think most of these teachers have a very big ego, because it's good for your ego if you are in front of a lot of people who admire you and say, well, it's namaste, it's very good. So I suspect that many teachers, many Advaita teachers have a very large ego.
And they tell me to get rid of my ego.
Yes, it's very weird, because everything is a development of natural mechanisms, of the way that the natural laws have worked out. So the ego is also an expression of how the natural laws have played out.
Yeah.
And we need it. Well, if you want to see how enlightened somebody is, you can bring a tiger at satsang. And if the teacher does not experience any fear, duality between himself and the tiger, well, then it will make no difference whether the tiger is hungry or not.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But I believe it's of course, spiritual teachers tell some basic truth, but it's also very important not to ignore how our organisms came into being.
Yeah.
And I feel very much inspired by evolution, who says that evolutionary theories that give more information about why things are the way they are.
Yeah. In Advaita circles, we also like to talk about the world being an illusion. It's not real. It's just a dream. When you are in deep sleep, then you are in your natural state. Do you agree with people who say that?
And when you are, it's a dreamless sleep.
Yeah, in the deep sleep. Then you are awake. In deep sleep, you are awake, and now we are dreaming. We are dreaming this world.
Well, you can say two things about that. first of all, in deep sleep there's also a lot of brain activity. And well, in deep sleep there's also nobody who can experience anything. I don't buy that theory, because you can also say, well, you are your true self before you were born, and you will be your true self after you die.
Yeah.
So that's the same kind of thing. That before you were born there was nobody to experience anything, and after you will die there's also nobody who experiences anything. And there's also one thing one can learn from that. If one really wants to lose one's ego, one only has to have some patience. So one does not have to go to cruise. One does not even have to watch YouTube videos. One only has to have some patience. That at some point all our atoms will dissolve.
Yeah.
Our ego will not be there anymore, because the brain will not be able to generate the model of the self in relationship to the environment.
Yeah.
Our atoms will spread out and they will make new forms.
Yeah. And nothing is lost.
No, nothing is lost. Well, what is important is not your ego. What's important are your atoms. And your atoms will survive anything.
Even an atomic war.
Yes, yes. Unless you are totally in the center. But in essence, in fact, the quarks, what are the elementary particles within the atom, they can even survive a nuclear explosion. When you are in the middle of a nuclear explosion, they will survive, and they will last as long as the universe will last.
Yeah.
So the ego is a creation of the brain. And it's the model of the self in relationship to the environment is a virtual model. It's a virtual model. So that also means that what's important is not the ego. What's important are the atoms, and the atoms will survive.
Yeah, that's reassuring. And how come, Roland, that we are still so busy with mourning when the form dies, or wanting the form to live as long as it does? Do you have an explanation for that? Is that also again?
Yes, because when there's an organism, the organism is motivated to live as long as possible. You can also see that by simple organisms, also organisms that do not think. They are also, every organism is motivated by two things. So one thing is to live as long as possible, and the other thing is to procreate.
Yeah.
If an organism doesn't want to procreate, then it will die out.
Yeah.
So
it's a natural law.
Yeah, if organisms that are not motivated to procreate will die out. It's as simple as that. And you have to live at least as long to be able to procreate and to raise the kids, if it's necessary.
Are those two motivations influencing all our actions in daily life? Procreation, survival?
Well, these are the most important motivations.
Yeah. What can be other motivations to have in life? Bringing truth and liberation?
Yes, well, I think that personally I'm fascinated by knowing what is true.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not see how this helps my my survival, and it also doesn't help with procreation. So it's just some kind of longing to know the truth.
There's a friend of us, Paul Smith, you were in the movie All About Nothing with him, who says everything is sexual selection, even doing these kind of interviews. It's presenting yourself as a very wise and lovable guy.
Well, I don't know if I...
It could be.
It could be. I don't know. It may also be different for different people. Yes, well, that can be his opinion. I think there's a lot of truth in his opinion, because also when you look, for example, at artists, famous artists always had a lot of lovers.
Yeah.
And you also see with birds that they are showing off with colors, with dance, and especially male animals of all kinds of species tend to show off with how knowledgeable, how good they are. Animals tend to fight with other animals just to show off how strong they are.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of truth in that opinion.
Yeah.
I would not go so far as that for human beings the only motivation is survival and procreation. There can also be something like wanting to create a better world, or wanting to know the truth, or there are also some other motivations, but it's a very important part.
Yeah. And is there such thing as enlightenment, Roland? That's what all we spiritual searchers are looking for. We want to become enlightened.
Well, the short answer is no. I don't believe in it. I've believed in it for quite a long time. I've been a follower of spiritual teachers who said they were enlightened. But let's see it this way. If you fall in love, you do not feel the ego anymore. It's just feeling of oneness. Yeah. So ego is melting away.
Yeah.
It's quite possible that for many reasons there's a change in the self model in which the me experience loses its grip. There are also a famous video of Jill Bolte Taylor in which she experienced it after some brain accident. She did not experience it me anymore.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of reasons, psychological reasons, also reasons that the brain is working in a different way, that the me loses its grip. It's also possible not to fall in love with a person, but to fall in love with everything there is.
The world, yeah.
Yes. And it's quite likely that that many spiritual teachers have had that experience. But these experiences come and go. And everyone, also all the listeners, have experienced moments in which they experienced oneness. It's also quite simple. For example, if you there's also the flow. If you are making a painting, or if you're making dancing or music, then you also do not experience the ego anymore.
Yeah.
The young people who are going at a dance party do not experience the ego anymore.
No.
So they experience oneness. So it's not something that is just for a few teachers. Everybody experiences oneness at different points.
Yeah.
It just so happens that these teachers can say a lot of great things about it. And not everybody can put it in beautiful words.
Yeah.
Not everybody can sit before for a lot of people and to explain it.
Yeah.
So we all have had our points of enlightenment sometimes, but everybody also has his points of experience, the ego. If you go at the internet and if you look at the private lives of some teachers, you certainly get the expression that they also experience ego, and it's not that these people are wholly or totally different than other people. It's just that they have a way of giving, explaining the whole thing into very nice words.
So there's no such thing as permanent enlightenment, permanent egolessness.
No.
No.
No, it's very dangerous to suggest that there is.
If I meditate enough, if I meditate for 10 years on a mountain, then my ego will completely dissolve and I'll be enlightened.
No, and it's very dangerous to suggest that there is, because some gurus who have claimed permanent enlightenment have also created a lot of scandals.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of reasons to suspect that especially those teachers who claim permanent enlightenment have a very big ego. It can also be a way to get followers.
Yeah.
If you say, I'm permanent enlightened, and if you also have some charisma, then you will get followers.
Yeah.
Also a good website is necessary,
Yeah,
good public relations. You must be able to talk in a nice sounding way. You must have a nice voice. Your looks must be okay.
Yeah.
There must be all kind. But the whole, if somebody says, well, that I am in a way more spiritual advanced than you, you certainly can, then the person who is saying that has a very, very, very big ego.
Okay.
And it's simply a sales trick to say I'm permanent enlightened, and if you do what I tell you to do, you may become permanent enlightened also.
Yeah.
Then you get power over people. There's a movie called Kumare in which that process is, in which you can see how this process works.
Yeah.
So don't. If you just remember one thing from this video, don't trust anybody who say that he's permanent enlightened.
Okay. One last thing I want to ask you. A phrase I hear a lot in spiritual circles, also in non-duality and Advaita circles, is everything is love. All the other things are a lie. So this is all love, and that is what we are. We haven't heard the word love out of your mouth. Well,
no, because everything. Most of the times when somebody uses that word, it is suspect. Well, what is meant by everything is love is that everything that there is accepted without conditions by the universe, otherwise it would not be there.
Yeah.
If there is a disaster somewhere, then that disaster is accepted by the universe, otherwise it would not be there.
Yeah.
But the word love is used in a... But it does not have to mean that everything is rosy.
Yeah.
So the word love gives some connections to
romance,
to rosy feelings. But well, there's a lot of bad things happening at the world. There are a lot of diseases. There are people in hospitals. There are people freezing. There are all kinds of. There are animals suffering in intensive farming. well, you cannot say that the suffering of all these animals and of people in bad situations is just love. That I do not use the word love so often because it gives some rosy feelings to things that are not rosy at all.
Yeah. Maybe if we change the word love into being, so everything comes out of being, everything is accepted by being.
Yes, well, you can say that everything is an expression of the natural laws.
Yeah.
So instead of saying love, which has some connection with roses and that, you just say everything is an expression of natural laws. But that just doesn't sound so nice.
No.
If someone wants to have followers,
They have to.
it would be much better to say everything is an expression of love,
Yeah.
and you are love. But if you say, well, everything is an expression of natural laws, for somehow that just doesn't doesn't give that same.
Yeah.
The same thing. And people want to hear nice things. Well, in Holland we have the magazine Happiness. It's the #1 spiritual magazine in the Netherlands. And well, in the magazine everything is written in a rosy context.
Yeah.
That's of course nice, but in the real world there are all kinds of things happening. There are lovely things happening, but there's also bad things happening. And if you would use a more neutral term, like natural laws or oneness or something, that's better than love, which has some rosy, all these rosy feelings about it.
Yeah. Roland, is there anything else we can learn from the animal kingdom? You watch a lot of movies on TV. I do also. I'm always amazed about how things in like with the ants and the things they build and the big houses they build where the air gets through, and it looks so intelligent to me. And you cannot tell me that little ant that doesn't have that much brain capacity. How come those ants know exactly what to do to make such beautiful things?
Well, they are more in harmony than human beings.
They work together.
And yes, it's just they work together in a very basic and automatic way. And well, the human being is a very strange being because most animals live in a very natural way. And the human being has this very big brain. It seems at some point there was a mutation in apes that caused the brain to grow, to double in size. And with this growing brain came the possibility to use technology, but also the possibility for worrying. We are a bit of an exception in the natural world.
Yeah.
And well, what many people want to do is to turn back the clock of evolution, because they say, well, we have this ego, we have this worrying, we have this thinking, we have this always being in our mind. But for a large part, that's just part of the human experience.
Yeah.
Perhaps it would be better if we would still be apes. I don't think I would have any problem in being in a nice climate in Africa and being in a natural environment and just doing my thing there. Maybe that's even a lot better than being in a cold country.
With a house with buildings.
But it just so happens that we are human beings.
Yeah.
And we cannot turn back the clock of evolution. So I don't think we should try to be like monkeys, because that's impossible. We are in this situation and we should do the best of it, and some relaxing exercises can of course help.
Yeah.
But we should not go so far as to try to turn back the clock of evolution, because that just won't work.
Yeah.
You cannot turn back the clock of all those processes just by saying, well, it should not be that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also nice guru talk does not help either. But what happens is that if people go to satsang, they will feel good for a short while. But then they experience the world with all the sorrows and pain. And they need to go to satsang again to get this good feeling again.
Yeah, true.
And that gives rise to some addiction.
Yeah.
I've also been addicted to spiritual groups in the past. I've been a searcher for many, many, many years.
But didn't find anything.
Well, I did find one thing, and that was that well, spiritual teachers tell something, but they then do not tell the whole story.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of wisdom in the work of evolutionary biologists.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, I'm very much inspired by movies from National Geographic Wild. Also the work of philosophers like Daniel Dennett or evolutionary biologists. Yeah. So it would be very, very good for spiritual people to not read the next Advaita book, but to read something about evolution. Because if you read about evolution, you understand exactly why things are the way they are.
Yeah. Look further. Don't stop at Advaita.
Now there's some truths to be found in Advaita.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to learn the truth about human nature and how it came to be that way. And if you study evolutionary theories, if you read books about evolution, you understand a lot about how things are the way they are. Also learn a lot about nature. That I think the main thing is that we are in a game. We cannot change that game simply by smooth talk. The best thing we can do is to understand the rules of the game. The rules of the game are the natural laws and the way evolution works. And that helps us to accept it.
Yeah.
And if it's not possible to accept it, that's okay also, because part of evolution has also programmed us to feel resistance to bad experience.
Yeah.
So we do not always have to feel good. We do not have
joy.
To lose the ego that nature has programmed us to
feel frustrated also.
To feel frustrated, to feel bad, to have all kinds of feelings.
Yeah. Thanks for this interview again. When people want to get in touch with you, the English website www.youareoneness.com.
Yes, and it's written as one word. And there's also a lecture on that website that I've given at the Science and Non-Duality Congress some time ago. That's also in English.
Yeah.
So there's also a lot of information on that website.
Also a way to get in touch with you on the website.
Yes, there's also my email address is mentioned at the website, so people can look there.
Yeah, and for our Dutch viewers or listeners, there's also 2 interviews in Dutch on YouTube to be and on iTunes to be found. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Patrick.
Sitting here with my dear friend Lenny.
Yeah.
Lenny Koer.
So nice to be here again with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. We did a talk in Dutch about a year ago.
Yeah.
And we never met before, and it was great to meet each other. And it almost felt like we knew each other all along.
It's true. It was it has had such a familiar feeling in me. It's just because we are connected to what we are doing and what we are talking about. This is such a deep connection that this is already opening yourself. It opens us, and it puts us in the middle, in the center of the oneness, actually.
Yeah.
So there is, in my opinion, there is no one who is interviewing and no one who is answering. Because what I felt the first time is that all your questions already put in this center already.
Yeah.
So that there was just no difference in what has been asked and what the answers were, actually.
Do you have an explanation for that? How come?
It's a desire. Most people, when you talk about a desire, they say as long as you talk about desires, it's not it's not non-duality.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, a desire, I felt it from when I was very young. And in Dutch we have a word for it, heimwee. Heimwee.
Mm-hmm. A longing.
Yeah, a longing to go home. Child. And this desire itself is like it's implanted in everybody. It's this desire to... Because why do you long for it? Because you know it. You cannot feel homesick when you don't know this home already. And so the essence of this desire is planted in everybody. It's in you and it's in me. And this is doing its work. It's pushing us, it's pulling us through all the forms. When we really surrender to it, when we reached the age or the right time to just surrender to this longing. So this longing itself is already the quality of the awareness itself. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
When your intentions become reach the same quality as the desire, because the desire is the highest and the deepest desire for God, for oneness. So when your intentions reach the same quality, then there is no difference anymore.
Difference between
the essence of who we are, which is the desire itself also. This desire is the essence in us, which is working always, which is pulling us, which is sometimes we receive like presence, of this awareness already. Grace, we can call it. And the more we listen to it, the more we follow it, the more we just go through all these images of who we think we are, of ideas of who we are. It's very important actually to break these images, because every image is like a stone, you have to just go through it and leave it behind, and become lighter and lighter, and then you feel this beautiful stream.
And wasn't that difficult for you, because you are seen by a lot of people here in the Netherlands as a famous singer,
Yes.
Someone who participated in the Eurovision Song Contest, who has been in the charts, who's always asked for interviews. And how do you see yourself?
It was not an incident, I think, that I was winning with the song "The Troubadour." And troubadour is another word for it's like in English you say bard, you know. He's a singer, but he's singing. But the troubadour is the one who is finding gold, you know. And I did win gold with this song, The Troubadour. So I'm somebody who is looking for gold, you know, because I am gold. You are gold as well. So you're looking for your inner light. And so this is when I look to myself, and I see your videos from when I was 16 or 7, no, from the age of 18, and of course I became older and older, but I still see this essence in me, the same fire, the same purity, but more and more in my development I could leave things, I could leave some skin, you know, of. And finally, I also could step out of my name. It's something so beautiful to be able to just step out of your name. And when you can, because you can already feel, I don't know if you can feel it, that behind your name, Patrick, you know, there is the awareness of who you really are. There is a quality behind your name, and this is the awareness of who you are in the purest essence.
So behind my name there's a certain quality, or how should we call that?
Behind your name there is an awareness of who you are without your name. And just when you step out of your name, you also step out of all the ideas of who you are, of everything which is connected to your name, all the history of from when you were born, every story that is connected to you, where you believed in, and or the things that hurted you, or that gave you
pleasure, credits
and everything. So this is connected to the name, and in my experience, it was a very important moment when I really, for the first time, was longing to know what is the place behind my name. Who am I when I leave my name? And it was, you know why? I told you in the Dutch version of our interview already that as a singer I lost my voice when I was 43 on a very in a heavy way, because even the doctors didn't know if I would ever be able to talk again. I couldn't talk anymore. There was I couldn't pronounce ah, oh, u, and there was a total weakness of my voice. And of course it was shocking me, it has been shocking me, because all my love, I really thought that the string of love was, you know, with scissors was cut, yes. Because for me singing was everything was who I was, and so, but in this process I understood that I had to surrender. But meanwhile, I was all the time connected. I connected myself to really something I didn't know, but I felt this power of essence. I don't know, of God, whatever you call it. I could feel it as if it was just closer than my breath, you know. It was, so I connected myself to it, but I didn't know to what I was connecting. And so in the process I lost everything. I lost something of myself. I became lighter and lighter. And I was really streaming with my stream and surrendering. And in the end, there was just a big surrendering, because you really have to cross like the big water.
Yeah.
Because you don't know to what you surrender. It can be frightening, because when you lose the little things that you still call me,
Mm-hmm.
who are you then, you know? So I know that that there was just like a voile, but very thin, and I was feeling already what was behind my name.
Yeah.
And just there was a time that I just slipped through it. I just slipped through my name in a total awareness of the quality of the silence, of the silence, yes, but silence that has like a compact energy of bundled forces. It is so beautiful. It is so powerful, because essence is energy without any form. And this is what you are, what I am, what you are. It's so powerful you cannot imagine. And this is the power of the oneness. This is timeless as well. So in this timeless energy, there can never be any judgment, because in the timeless space, and space is not a place that is apart from you. The space is just another word for a state of being, of who you really are.
Yeah.
So in this timeless state of being, there can never be any judgment, because judgment is connected to time. It has so many qualities, this awareness of all the love, your heart becomes open, and I remember that afterwards it was like I was carrying a very big secret inside of me, and afterwards there came a time that my voice returned a little bit. It was very weak and very vulnerable, but I thought, I take this for 100%, because this is not limited, it is 100% for me, and I can express myself completely with it. So I started to sing, but it was not easy, because every time I was singing there was one moment that I didn't have any connection to the voice, but never mind. People loved it also very much, because they sensed this vulnerable thing, which I was also, and the power of this quality of being vulnerable. And I remember that I was, a few years later, I was interviewed by journalists from the radio, and I stepped into the studio, and I was thinking, nobody knows that I'm carrying this very big secret with me. And I was just thinking, but what is the secret then? How can you explain it? And what I can say about this, carrying this secret inside of you, it's like you're carrying a newborn baby, you know, without name.
Yeah.
It has no name. It has all the potential of life and of the universe in it. it is the most beautiful child that you can imagine that you're carrying. It's the most loving child that you're carrying. It's the most wise child that you're carrying. And at the same time, you are this child as well. And this is actually the essence that is inside of you, that always makes you happy, and that always is, I mean, not happy that you are just...
Joy.
Yeah, it's a stillness of happiness inside of you. It's power. You feel power. And after this awareness, it takes years that this awareness can totally integrate in your whole being. So this makes you always small. Always am aware that my name is just an illusion.
Mm.
It's an illusion.
Yeah, it makes you humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And humbleness is only the only thing, because when your ego is taking this awareness that you realized yourself, if the ego can easily say, "Ha, that is me,"
Yeah.
you know.
I'm special.
I'm special.
Yeah.
Yes. Then you are. It is the most stupid thing you can do, because it's not the movement you ought to make, you should make, because the movement you make always is just the surrendering and feeling the relativity of the form, what you are. And that, makes what you are doing, you are on this stream because your desire is so huge, actually, to grasp this all. But you already, of course, it is. I don't know. Perhaps I can sit in your place and ask you the same questions to you, and I'm curious what you are answering, and that in your answers, it already you show that you already know this awareness.
Well, I had a taste of it, and that's because I love doing these interviews so much. It's a reason, because if you had a taste of of that honey or whatever you want to call it, you want more. You want to taste it more and bigger and.
Yeah, but the taste already, when you have tasted it, you know already that it is that.
Yeah.
It is not something you imagine. It is, as long as you imagine. Oh, well, it has to be this or that, or even I have to see gold. Everything I have to, when I open my eyes and everything is gold, or there is an angel coming to me and say, people have imaginations about this. So this is also like stones. That you have to just forget about these things and leave everything. And just pop in and step out of your name and feel it. Feel the total awareness, and feel the silence. Feel the eternity that you really are. It has no beginning, it has no end. And it is very big, and it's also very tiny, small. This is this power in its essence as well. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. And especially how you talk about it, it brings me to that place, or whatever you want to call it, immediately, because it's a recognition.
Yeah.
It's the most intimate thing you you can be with, because it's what you are. So
Yeah.
what we're talking about here is what we are in essence. Lenny, have you ever thought about leaving your name all behind and thinking, well, just like another famous singer, I can't remember his name, but he took on a new name.
Yeah.
Ever thought about that? Or wasn't it necessary?
I didn't think about it. But I can imagine that changing a name can be important, because your name is connected to your story also.
Yeah.
Eh?
And the Indian masters do it also. They give people a new name.
Yeah. But I don't know the name in English, but you have to translate it for me, please.
Yeah.
Ik vind het een beetje aanstellerig overkomen. Als het,
You think it's a little bit
exaggerated.
pretentious? Pretentious. Exaggerated. Exaggerated.
You see?
To say Sri Lenny Kaur Madrati.
No. But as deep inside, I'm not connected to my name, and so it's not necessary. But I can imagine that it can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You perform still as a singer. You go to theaters in Holland, and I can imagine that almost every lyric you sing now has this quality.
Yeah.
And tries to give how do you call it? Point to this.
Yeah. It's an expression of it.
Yeah.
Everything, everything I do is an expression of it. Because you cannot do anything else. Because if you don't do it, if you feel like you're not truthful, you're not. If you're lying or something,
right.
It doesn't feel good inside. So whatever I do, it's constructive. It is because oneness is when you are silent. You don't do anything. You just sit there and you don't have to do anything. But when you are living and you're expressing yourself, then you're moving, of course. Eh? So then this oneness is the essence which is moving you, like in a stream. So wherever you go, you're on the right stream, and you're on the stream of oneness, and it means that you know that everything is connected. Everything falls into one point. It's so everything I do it has this this energy, this quality, and also in the expression of it. I'm performing with two musicians, and they are so beautiful. They are one is a bass player. His name is Misha, and my guitar player is Reinier. And they are so light and so vulnerable. Vulnerable also, but also very powerful. But they know when to be like fire and when to withdraw. It's breathing all the time, and it's light. So we are so one when we are performing, and I think that I have. It's the most beautiful way of expressing the oneness, in my opinion, because now I can talk about it, but when I talk and when I sing about it, then there's another vibration, and then it really can touch you deeper than just talking.
Yeah.
I think so, yes.
Singing is more powerful than talking.
Because actually the singing quality it is just the trembling of your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Actually is abstract, even if you use words. The trembling of the voice, which is a trilling.
Vibration.
A vibration, yes, vibration. I didn't use the right word. Excuse me. The vibration of your voice has a quality. And even if you use words, the quality itself, it already can break through glass,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Mm. Yeah.
And it can break through forms, through illusions.
True ego, then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because ego is form.
Yeah.
Eh? Everything which is connected to form is ego,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be, it can be everything. So it is beautiful to use this art, the art of expressing through words and through music. So it's my way actually to reach people, and I don't care where I am singing, because I have been singing on huge places for millions of people, for television, 40,000 people. I've been singing, in Chile, in huge stages, but now I just don't care. Wherever they ask me, and wherever I can put my nice microphone, I have this microphone, I call it membrane. I'm singing from a distance, and it's beautiful. So also my guitar player, we are not connected to snoeren, to
cables,
monitors. No. So wherever there are people who want to see us, if it's in a little church or even in a stable, wherever, I will come, and I will sing. And so when people are united and they are longing to see us, to hear us, and it is possible because also I have to pay my musicians, but they are also, they're not asking when it's for a small thing. They're not, they're not asking the highest price.
No.
And I'm the same. So, but when it's healthy thing, when we can do it, we come. So it's also breaking through the images of which I had before.
Yeah.
So when you lose your name, you just don't care anymore.
Yeah. You don't think I have to be the biggest name on the poster, and I only come when there's 5,000 people or more.
No, or when I have this money. No. Sometimes I even have so little money left. Yeah. But when you look over it in 1 year, I can eat. I can do everything. I'm not a poor singer.
No.
I'm the most happy.
And you do it because you feel the joy of bringing this message, or just the joy of singing or touching people. Or?
It is such a joy to do this. I'm not thinking about bringing this message actually.
Not a mission.
A mission also not. It is like expressing harmony.
Yeah.
And so in music you can express harmony.
Yeah.
And in the same time, everything I say is connected to each other. It's a whole story, because oneness is not only it includes everything. It also includes the pain that is where you're suffering from. It's all included in what I'm doing. So it is such a joy to bring this, because it's truth. It's truth. It's pure, and people feel it. And when they are open for it, they are touched by it, and I read on my Facebook account one woman who visited my performance in Laren, it's a little place in Holland, and she said that she had such a beautiful dream that night, and she was so happy about it. But I won't say what dream she had, because I didn't ask her for permission. But anyway, I'm the most happiest woman when I can do this.
Yeah.
And also my musician thinks so, because there's nothing more fulfilling than doing this.
I know, it's the same for me when doing these interviews.
Yeah.
It's like the highest of the highest.
Yeah.
Being involved in this and being able to do this and that it can come through you. But do you call it satsang? Do you also? Well,
of course, every name. That's the trouble with names. Every name you give to something